welcome to episode number 45 of the Handmade by Lorelei podcast. I'm your host, Lorelei Erdo. I'm coming to you from upstate New York, and I'm a jewelry designer, and I also do a lot of knitting and sewing, and this is my crafting podcast. This, you can find me on the internet on Ravelry and Instagram as Lorelei Erdo. My Etsy store is loreleierdojewelry.etsy.com, and my website is loreleierdo.com, where I sell jewelry and then also some of my sewn things and tutorials, jewelry tutorials and such. Like I said, this is episode number 45. I've got a giveaway announcement to make first and foremost. And then I've got a couple of other things to show you. Finished object. 2 whips or works in progress. And I'm going to talk a little bit about dream knitting. So just a few new acquisitions, and I'm looking at my notes here. And just some regular life stuff at the end. Some random bits and pieces. If you're a new viewer, welcome. I hope that you're interested in seeing what I'm working on. And if you're a returning viewer, welcome back. It's so nice to have you back again viewing the podcast. So, without further ado, I'm going to announce the giveaway. I'll remind you what I'm giving away here. This is a cute little set that I put together of a skein of skein yarn, which is out of Australia. This little owl stitch marker set, which I made myself, and this awesome drawstring owl bag by Little Skein and the Big Wool. I used random number generator to generate a random comment that was posted on our Ravelry group, which is the Knits and Beads Ravelry group. As of, still haven't changed it. I'm going to see if I can try to figure out how to change it. It took me half an hour just to figure out how to lock the thread. I can never remember how to do it. It's so not obvious. Anyway, the random number generator chose a comment number 38, which is Purple Ducks, or Penny on Ravelry. And Penny's from Alvarado, Texas. Congratulations, Penny. Send me a Ravelry message with your mailing address and I will mail out your prize ASAP. So there were 38 comments on the post, and the very last comment was chosen. So yay! I'm excited to send her this. I think she's going to really love it. So looking forward to doing more giveaways like that in the future. Let's get right into the knitting. I have a finished object to show you, which is kind of a surprise because I was not working on this the last time I podcast 2 weeks ago. I decided to enter into Jacqueline of the Brooklyn Knit Folk podcast into her latest knit along, which is the hashtag BK Hipster Along. I think that's what it's called. Where people are supposed to choose a pattern that has 30 or less projects on Ravelry. And there's so many great designers out there, so it wasn't hard to find one. You know, there's tons. And I ended up deciding to do a pair of socks. And that might surprise you because as of lately, I'm not a sock knitter, and you know that if you are returning to the podcast. But I thought that I would try this particular sock pattern because it's knit in an interesting way. and I will insert some pictures here so you can see what I'm talking about. You basically cast on toe up on the first sock, knit through the foot, do the heel, knit through the leg, and then the cuff, and then you add waste yarn. And then you start knitting the cuff of the second sock, right, all in one long tube. So basically you knit 2 socks in one. And I thought that was really cool, combating the whole second sock syndrome, which I'm probably prone to. I haven't knit too many socks, but I've tried a couple of different socks in a couple of different ways, trying to find my favorite way. Here's my finished socks, by the way. I'm sorry I don't have sock blockers, but there they are. I knit my Pushmi-Pullyu socks with a yarn that I've never knit before. One, it's Stellina, which I've never knit with Stellina yarn, and this yarn is from fiberforthepeople.yarns.com. Taylor created this awesome colorway called Purl Jam, which I just love. I love the group Purl Jam, but I also love the name of these. And this yarn was really fantastic to knit with. I loved it. And it's got like a really nice twist to it. Here's the rest of what I've got left. And as you can see, it's got like a really nice twist. So there wasn't any splitting or anything. And I have quite a bit left. I mean, this would be plenty for toes, cuffs and toes for another pair of socks or whatever. I actually am not working on any. It is so dark, I'm sorry. It's pouring rain. I don't remember what I was saying. Anyway. So they're like connected like this. And the pattern calls for you to knit these socks using 9-inch circular needles, which are those little tiny. And I had tried them before, and they were okay, but I thought I would try them again. And actually, I'm glad that I did, because I really do enjoy using them for socks. It makes the process so much faster. Now, you basically can't really use them for the cast on or for the heel. So you actually are using a long circular needle along with the 9-inch circulars, but all of the knitting in the round along the foot and along the leg can be done on the 9-inch circulars, and it's just so fast compared to magic looping. It's so fast. So that being said, how did I feel about the pattern? Well, I don't think I would use that pattern again. Now, it's not that I'm not recommending it. I mean, if you want to try it, by all means, try it. But I'm not very well versed in sock knitting, A. And B, I don't have a lot of experience picking up stitches. And without giving too much away, you have to pick up stitches along the cuffs of the 2 socks before you take the waste yarn out. And that was a really, really tricky. And it was not explained in the pattern. So it's kind of assumed that you know how to do that. There is a small instruction on doing that, picking up the stitches, but then after you've picked them up, there's really no instruction on how to pull the waste yarn out. So what I ended up having to do is cut the waste yarn and pull it out. And it was a big old fat mess, and I ended up having to rip both the needles back out of the socks again, take all the stitches, make all the stitches loose and live, and then pick up the stitches. And it was a nightmare, and I will never want to do that again ever in my life. So that being said, after you pick up the stitches and you take the waste yarn out, then you bind off. And it doesn't recommend a specific bind off. The first sock I just bound off like you would normally bind off stitches in pattern. And this is not stretchy enough to go over my foot. So these will be a gift. And that person, I don't think, watches the podcast, so I don't think I'm ruining any surprises, but this will be a gift for someone in my life that has smaller feet than me. And that's all I'm going to say. The second sock I bound off with the Sockmatician's suggested bind off for toe-up socks, and much better. This one goes on my foot much better. So that being said, that is my finished object for the week, and I've entered them into the knit along, and there is still lots of time. I believe that knit along possibly ends at the end of September, so there is time for you to enter. All you have to do is pick a project that is 30 projects or less, aka a hipster knitting designer, or, you know, a newbie basically. And I'm thinking about possibly trying to get another thing on my needles before the end of September. So, but we'll see what happens. But anyway, I love these, and I know that the person that will get these will love them also. And the yarn is amazing, and you should definitely check out Fiber for the People yarn if you haven't already. Moving right along to my works in progress. I haven't done any work on my Rhinebeck sweater because I have been obsessing. I was obsessively knitting on these socks. Like literally, it didn't take that long. I think maybe a week. I know that seems like kind of a long time, but for me, that's not too bad. And I did some traveling last weekend, so that's when I knit the majority of these, because it was about 6 hours of driving time. And then while I was at my mother-in-law's, I did some knitting. So yeah, I did knit a lot on these, on that trip, and it was nice having a small portable project. And now I'm kind of understanding the appeal of sock knitting, so more on that later. So no progress on my Rhinebeck sweater because I didn't want to lug it with me on my trip, and I've been kind of knitting on those socks, and so I'm hoping to pick that up soon. But now that I'm back from that trip, I actually have been knitting more on my Lucky Charm shawl by Melody Hoffman, and I have been enjoying it. I'm using Tusken Knits yarn, single ply. This is the Haar colorway, and I've got quite a bit knit so far. This is a little bit bigger than the last time I showed you. I finally have gotten to the second slip stitch section. There is another section that looks a little bit different than this one. Let's see if I can get you a better picture of that. It is so dark in here. Oh my gosh. Beautiful yarn. I have only done like 2 rows of the second slip stitching, but it's just a little slightly different than the first section. And then I'll be able to start a stockinette section, and then after that there's another slip stitch arrows section that I'll start. So it's moving right along. I was looking at the pattern the other day on Ravelry, and I noticed that the yardage requested for this particular pattern is like 1,200 yards, and I'm not sure why I thought that 2 skeins of this Tusken Knits yarn was going to be enough, because that's only like 800 yards. So why? I don't know if that number changed or if I'm just burnt and didn't realize that it was only, or it was going to need 3 skeins. I don't know. So I had a little bit of a freak out. Like, how am I going to finish this shawl with not enough yarn? Now this is skein number 2. I think that I'll probably get through the majority of the rest of the shawl with this skein, but that the tassels is where I'm going to run out. So what I ended up doing is I went on her website, the Tusken Knits website. Her name is escaping me. I'll put it on the screen here. Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember her name. And she didn't have any more single ply in this colorway available. And she no longer is offering on her Etsy store custom made to order. So she did have another base in the same colorway. So I went ahead and ordered this. The colorway is pretty spot on, I think. I think that's gonna be fine. Like, that's gonna be fine. You can't even really tell. Now the yarn is not a single ply. It's a It's a 2-ply, I think. Hard to say. But this is the Fuzz base, and it's 55% superwash merino and 20% kid mohair and 25% nylon. And it's 438 yards. So this will probably be my tassels, which will be fine, I think. And if anybody has knit anything that has tassels on it, do you know, am I supposed to knit that, like create the tassels, attach them to the shawl and then block? Or do I block the shawl and then attach? It's not clear in the pattern, but I didn't know if that was like an unspoken thing. If anybody knows, please leave me a comment. It seems like I should create the tassels after the shawl is blocked and then attach them to the corners. Because I don't know how a tassel will block out. Or maybe I want it to block out because then I want the tassels to be nice and smooth. I don't know. If you know, let me know. I'm just keeping this in Nancy's bag here. Nancy of the Round Rabbit Podcast made this bag. Check out roundrabbit.bigcartel.com for her online store. My second whip is another sock. And this also brings me into a little bit of new acquisitions. When we went to see my in-laws, we actually go right through Massachusetts and we're able to go to Webb's. And I wanted to stop at Webb's this time because I was thinking I was going to buy yarn for the Veronica cardigan by Shannon Cook. And when I got there, I did see the yarn that I wanted to use. It's Blue Sky Fibers Wool Stock 150, which is 150 grams a skein. But they only had 3 skeins on the shelf, and I didn't ask because they're $22. And I had no money, and I was actually borrowing money from my husband to buy the yarn, and I just didn't, I felt really guilty to ask him to buy that much yarn because I think I'm gonna need like at least 4 or 5 skeins of that. So, changed my mind. I don't think I'm going to use that yarn. It's too dang expensive. So I think what I'm going to do is go on Knit Picks and buy the Wool of the Andes non-superwash worsted yarn, because I can knit the Veronica for like 40 bucks, and that's amazing. And I think that the yarn is probably going to be pretty similar. I'm just trying to choose a color. Oh my gosh, there are so many to choose from. While I was there, I can't just walk away and not buy anything at Webb's. So, one thing I bought was, did I not bring it in here? You're kidding. Okay. I bought another 9-inch circular. This time I bought Knitter's Pride Nova Platina. And the only reason I bought this brand is because that's the only brand that I could find at Webb's in the 9-inch size. So the other one that I have is ChowGoo. I would have loved to buy another ChowGoo one. They didn't have them. So we'll try it and see how I like it. If I don't like it, I'll probably just try to destash it and buy another one, but they look okay. I mean, they're just really nice and smooth compared. I like a more matte finish needle, but like I said, we'll see. The cord is nice, and I just wanted to have another one so that I could knit 2 socks concurrently. And this was about $7.30, so not too bad price-wise. I also found some sock yarn that I thought was interesting. I was looking at the sock yarn that is self-patterning, and you guys know there are quite a few different ones out there. I was looking at the Arne and Carlos, which they want $17 a skein for, which I thought was kind of outrageous. This Berroco Sox was only $13.50, and one ball is 440 yards. So plenty for a pair of socks. This colorway is 1425, in case you're interested. But I just love the colors. Very fall. So I'm looking forward to knitting that. And then the other one I got was I forgot to bring the tag. Hang on. I can't find it. So, oh. This is it though. And it's also got a number, and I'll see if I can figure out what the number is, and I will put it on the screen here for you. But same yardage, and oh, I just love it. Well, I cast on last night, and I've got a little toe started. Isn't it so cute? Oh my gosh, I love this so much. So it's got like blue and white kind of speckled sections, deep like wine color, then this lavender, then it kind of goes into a dark green and then a light green. And those colors repeat throughout. But I love the little blips of color in the green stripes. And it's so fun. It's so fun. And these are going to be so cozy. The yarn is a little bit scratchier than normal, but I think it'll be all right for socks. So I am having a blast. Who knew? Who knew I was going to enjoy sock knitting? All it takes is the right yarn and the right pattern. Now, for these socks, I'm not generally using a pattern. I did follow the instructions to do Judy's Magic Cast On YouTube somewhere. Somebody posted a video. And I'm following the instructions on the toe up from the Pushmi-Pullyu socks that I just finished. And now I'm just knitting the leg, so that doesn't take a whole lot of skill. And for the sock, I think on these I'm going, now I don't want to get too far. I think I'm going to go ahead and cast on the second sock and get it on my other needles. So then I can kind of knit them together. Just pick up one or the other and knit them to the heel. And I think the heel I'm going to use is the heel that Nathan of the Sockmatician podcast is, I have his pattern for toe-up socks. So I really like a heel flap and gusset. I just really, really like it. That's another thing I didn't mention about these, is that they have a short row heel. And for the first sock, I knit the short row heel mostly with the 9-inch circular, and oh my gosh, purling on a 9-inch circular was hard. Not hard, but a pain. And for the second sock, I didn't want to go through that again. So what I ended up doing was, when I got to the point of the heel, I knit across the top of the foot and then left those stitches on the 9-inch circular. And then I brought in a long 32-inch circular and I did the wraps and turns of the short row heel with the long needle, and that was the way to go. So that's my advice. If you make this pattern, just hold the front stitches on the 9-inch. I put little stoppers on the ends that I got from Coco Knits, just so that none of the stitches would fall off. And I went ahead and knit the whole short row heel using the long needle. And then when I got done with the heel, I threw the stitches back on my 9-inch and continued knitting up the leg. I'm gonna do Nathan's heel flap and gusset for his toe-up socks for these socks. And I'll probably, like I said, I'll probably use a long needle and just park the top stitches on my 9-inch and use the long circular to finish the heel, and then knit the rest of the leg on my 9-inch. So that's what I'm gonna do. That's what I'm gonna do. And I just cannot tell you how much I'm enjoying this yarn. It's so fun. Now, I'm sure I probably would feel that way about self-striping, so I'm going to have to get some self-striping yarn. Yarn hasn't been in my budget for a while, so it's really rare that I'm even showing you this yarn. It's has been tough working lately, and any extra money, there is none. So I was very lucky to buy these two skeins. But that's not all the stash enhancement that I have. I have some more. I recently went to a new store that just opened about a month ago in Syracuse, New York, called Knitty Gritty Yarns. And I decided to go 2 weekends ago, I think it was. And the store was pretty easy to find. Syracuse is not usually very easy to maneuver around when you're not familiar with the area, but I used GPS and I got there and it was fine. The store is located in kind of an old industrial building, which was kind of interesting. The signage was great, so I knew where I was. There's ample parking there. I did take just a couple of photographs and footage, and I'm going to insert them here. The shop is owned by a lovely lady who is, her name's Carrie Heckman. She's the owner, and There's the website. Super nice. She was there when I walked in, greeted me so kindly, asked me if there was anything I was looking for. I said no. I explained that it was my first time there, and she was just so grateful that I made the trek, because it's about an hour away from me. And just was really welcoming and friendly, and she wasn't invasive and gave me space, and I looked around for a while, and then we kind of met up and chatted a little bit more. I told her I was a jewelry designer, and I was talking about my stitch marker necklaces to her, and she definitely said she wanted to check them out. So I need to make a couple more of those and shoot her an email to see if maybe she might want to carry a few in her store. They have a really nice selection of yarn. They have blue sky fibers, a really nice selection of blue sky fibers. They have this striped hat kit that I wanted so badly. I'm gonna get it sometime. Because it's so cute. You've probably seen it, but the colors in it are just perfect. And it's got little minis of all the colors that you use, and it's just a striped beanie. It's nothing major, but adorable. What else does she carry? She carried, my gosh, I'll insert pictures so you can kind of see. She does have hedgehog fibers, but she only had like a handful of colors left, and I heard her telling another customer that she had placed another order and was waiting for them to show up. So that's good to know that she'll be kind of stocking hedgehog. I wasn't really big on any of the colors that I saw there when I was there, but I'm trying to think. I can't even think of other. She had quite a few different brands of yarn, and even some local stuff, a lot of baby yarns, a lot of, she did have the yarn I wanted to use for the Veronica cardigan, but it was a darker gray than the one that I wanted. Bummer. But like I said, that yarn, I just can't fathom buying that much yarn for a sweater. I definitely feel like I'm gonna go with the Knit Picks yarn instead. So while I was there, I did pick up some yarn, because you don't drive an hour to a yarn store and not buy anything. I chose the Blue Sky Fibers Extra Aran weight, and these are 218 yards a skein, and the color is Cherry Blossom. And like I said, it's an Aran weight, but it's just the perfect pink. I got 3 skeins. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them yet. They're so pretty and just the perfect pink. Almost like a peachy pink. Pink is tough, you know. I do like pink, but it's got to be the right kind of pink. And I do like this a lot. I'm thinking maybe a chunky cowl or something. I'm not sure, but I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah, they were a little bit pricey. That yarn is a little bit pricey. It's $28 a skein for this. But it is so soft. That is another thing that I loved about it. It's really, really soft, because it's baby alpaca and fine merino. And it doesn't have a lot of halo, just a little bit of a fuzz. You can't even see it, but anywho, that's what I got there. I'll show you another finished object in sewing, because I forgot. I don't really have any other sewing. But I was asked by the lovely Mars of Hey Brown Berry Podcast if I would make her a messenger style bag. So I found a pattern and I emailed her the pattern and she ended up really liking it, and so I ended up making kind of a prototype. I wanted to practice the bag. She bought the pattern and sent it to me. I wanted to practice the bag though before I made her bag because it was a pattern I hadn't done before. It's a pattern by Anna Graham, or Noodlehead. And this is the prototype. So I had this fabric in my stash, but the Maker fabric is new, and I bought it at my local quilting store called Lily something quilt company. I'll put it on the screen. I forget the name of it, but it's in Utica. I've seen this Maker fabric before and I just really loved it, and I thought it would go well with this bird fabric because there is a little bit of that same kind of blue color. And I used kind of a black with like gray dots for the binding, and the strap. The strap's adjustable. So the bag is cute. It's got like these little snaps, and they were fussy. Gotta be honest with you. Snaps are fussy. And then on the interior, it's got these two big pockets and a little zippered pocket, which is lined. These are nice and deep. And then it's got a recessed zipper. I used a red zipper. And the interior is kind of this linen, just a plain linen khaki color. There's a big pocket on the inside. It's a double pocket that I used the black. It's hard to see, but she really loved the bag and we talked, and now I have a better idea of what I will do for her main bag, but actually she wants the prototype too, so I have to look for some fabric that's a little bit more subtle and something she could use more professionally. So I got my eye out for that, and we have some thoughts. I think for her second bag I'm going to change this and do magnetic snaps. And I think that's the only major change I'll make to the bag design. But this was it took a day to sew this up. It definitely took a day. It's interfaced. There's squishy fleece interfacing on the exterior, and then there is some woven interfacing on the rest of the pieces. So it definitely took some time to cut them all out and interface everything and all of the bits and pieces, and whew, yeah, it took some time. But I do love the bag. It's really cool and it's a nice size, and I think it'll be perfect for her tablet, which is what she wanted it for. So that's that. Okay, future knitting dreams. I had a thought the other day about brioche. I am needing brioche in my life. You know from watching previous episodes that I'm obsessed with brioche knitting, and it occurred to me that I have never seen anybody knit brioche, two-color brioche with a marled yarn and a solid. So that's my plan. I do have a couple of marled yarns in stash. I have one that's an alpaca, which I don't think I will use that. It's really, really soft, but it's, I don't know, very, very, very fuzzy. It's a fingering weight also, I think, or it might be a sport weight. And then the other marled yarn is black and white that I have, and that's from Brooklyn Tweed that I bought last year at Rhinebeck. I think it's the newsprint colorway, and it's black and white. And so I'm thinking that that might pair well with some other yarn that I have in stash, but it's just, right now it's in my head and I'm thinking more about that, and I think that that will be really fun to find a pattern that will incorporate those. Those are worsted weight, and I have 2 of the solid color, which is like a turquoise, and then I have 2 of the newsprint. So I have 4 skeins of it, so I'm not sure, but I haven't even searched yet, but I plan on searching. I think that that could look really, really cool. Don't you think? I'm not thinking just 2-color brioche that's just looks like the ribbing, like straight. I'm thinking more like the brioche lace, which has kind of a curvier design. Yeah. Anyway, that's all in my head so far. And that might be what I'm looking for when I go to Rhinebeck. I'm really looking forward to Rhinebeck. Like, I can't wait. I can't wait. One of the reasons I can't wait is because we just got 2 more awesome people to join us at our accommodations. And you've probably seen me talk about them before, but the Mean Girls are coming to Rhinebeck, and I am super, super stoked. Stephanie and Rebecca, I can't wait to meet them. They're going to be staying with me. I'm going to fangirl all over the place, and I have already warned them that I'm a hugger, so I just can't wait to hug them both, and I'm just so excited. So excited. I don't even care if I buy any yarn there. I am just so excited to hang out with my people. And I've had this feeling before, going to big beading conventions, like the one this weekend that I'll sadly be missing is Bead Fest in Philadelphia. Those are my people. You know, you go, you hang out, it's people that love all the same things that you love. There's an energy there that's just, it's like you're high on bead fumes or yarn fumes, and it's just like this euphoria of 3 days with all of your best friends. It's like the best thing ever. Any kind of convention. So Rhinebeck is going to be just like that. And even more so because there are so many people that are in the podcasting community that are going to be there. And it's really, really exciting. So, can't wait. I just can't wait. 45 minutes, great. I have one more thing I want to talk about before I go. I don't know if you know how I started knitting, but basically I'm pretty self-taught. Like in the beginning I started out loom knitting with Nancy, and I did buy a couple of looms and I tried that for a while, and I think like my first 6 or 7 projects were done on looms. And then I started looking for projects, and I was falling in love with knitting projects that couldn't be done on a loom, or could be but needed special. You kind of needed to be able to read a regular knitting pattern to transcribe it for loom knitting, and I could not do that at that point. Now I probably could, but that was kind of why I started knitting regular knitting. I, bought some needles and just started teaching myself using YouTube and whatnot to learn how to knit normally on needles. And I just took to it like that, and I've been knitting now for, 3 years, I think? 2 or 3 years? Between 2 and 3 years. And I love it. I love it. And I'm still learning. I'm learning every time I knit anything. There is a new technique that I hadn't done before. And I just want to say that if you are a new knitter and you need any help whatsoever, please, please contact me. I am not that type of podcaster that is going to sit here and say, don't email me with your knitting questions. I don't have time for it. I do. I have time and I want to help you. So please, you can email me at ljeurto@gmail.com anytime. Anytime you have any kind of knitting question, I will be more than happy to help you search out an answer, or if I've done it before, show you how I've done it, or explain to you how I've done it. Or if you have any kind of knitting problem. I've done garments, I've done shawls, I've now done socks, I've done brioche. I can help with all of those things, and I want you to ask me anytime you have any questions. If you'd rather do it on the Ravelry group, please feel free to do that. You can ask me anything. There's a thread for Ask Me Anything. You can ask me knitting questions. You can ask me personal questions. You can ask me there, or you can send me an email, or please feel free to friend me on Facebook if you are feeling more comfortable there. Feel free to message me on Ravelry. I want to be there for you because I know what it's like to want to know how to do a certain thing in knitting and not be able to figure it out, or not be able to find help, or ask for help and not get any response, or get negative response, or I've been there. I've been in all of those situations, and I just feel like there are people in the knitting community that are closed off, and it's hard to learn from people that don't want to help you. So I want to help you. I am more than happy to do tutorials, knitting related tutorials if you need them. I've got a phone. I can, I can record video. I can do all kinds of things like that. So I just wanted to put that out there as a little public service announcement. If you ever need any knitting help, please feel free to contact me anytime, because I would love to help you. Absolutely would love to. If there's anything I'm ever talking about on the podcast that you are confused about or you want more clarification on, please feel free to ask me that too, because I'm not closed off. I am an open book. I will help anyone and everyone that wants to start knitting. Knitting has been a really huge thing in my life, like huge. Kind of like Stacy of Stress Knits was talking the other day on her latest episode. She's gone through some stuff lately, and knitting is just the best way to kind of focus your energy on something away from something going on in your life. So it's like stress knitting. And I do that a lot. I do a lot of stress knitting. It helps me wind down. It helps me focus on things and kind of get out of my own head. It's just the best, and I just love it. So that's all I have for you this week. Thank you for listening to me talk for 50 minutes about what I've been working on. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Congratulations again to Penny, who won the giveaway. Please contact me on Ravelry and I will get your prize right out to you. And I hope to see you guys really soon with more info on a possible make-along that I will be co-hosting with some other podcasters. More on that soon. And if you're going to Rhinebeck, let me know in the comments, and I would be absolutely thrilled to meet anyone that wants to meet up there. I'll be there possibly Friday night, because I'm thinking I may get into town Friday so that I could go to that Indian Tangled thing, because there's going to be some awesome people there that I would love to meet. And I'll be there Saturday and Sunday for part of the day. I think I'm going to head home on Sunday afternoon. So it's not a really long drive, so I should be able to spend a good part of Sunday there as well. So if you want to meet up, if you want to shop, if you want to talk knitting, if you want to just knit, let me know. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!